This is the Lug Nuts Podcast.
In this episode, Sam reminds us that door handles are overrated. Zach goes to confession, and them Duke boys get themselves in a world of trouble in their Hyundai Tucson.
It's time for
Car of the Week! Woohoo!
Yay!
Yay!
What's your car of the week, Sam?
Okay. I frequent Bring a Trailer. I spend inordinate amounts of time on here. You know, you star the cars that you see. Here we go. A 25,000-mile 1996 Dodge Viper. This thing's got 20 hours left in the auction. And just take a guess as to what the listing price is right now.
$27,000.
You are way off. $13,700. Now, I'm starring it because I want to see where it is when it closes tomorrow. But come on, people. This is the Dodge Viper. I mean, this thing was so awesome. I think this was the one. Yes, I am correct. This didn't even have door handles.
Really?
No, like on the inside. But you had to literally, like, there was no door handle on the outside. And a top? Yeah.
Didn't
good.
come with a top, right?
No, you don't. No, you don't. You're not driving this thing if it's going to rain.
I think it was
know?
also famously one of the first cars that could act as a pace car. I can't remember if it was like Indy 500 or as a NASCAR. I believe it may have been the Indy 500. And it was one of the first cars. It was a production car that could act as a pace car, completely unmodified. They drove it off the lot.
They didn't have to do anything
Didn't have to do anything for it to like run around the track at whatever the pace is, which is, pace, even at pace, those, Indy cars are going 100 and something.
Yeah. I mean, you would think anyway. This would be my jam. Like if this thing sells for less than $20,000, and I just had some coin to throw around, how do you not buy this thing? I mean, seriously, just to do burnouts.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they were a lot to handle. They say these are hard cars to drive fast.
I think they're hard cars to drive, maybe, period. Yeah, people wrap them around trees a lot, I think.
Yeah. So, Zach, what's your car of the week?
My car of the week is a car that is a new car, and we knew it was coming, but it is the Ford Ranger. That's my car of the week.
Love that thing.
I'm excited about this truck, to be honest. And the reason it's my car of the week is because you can now configure it on Ford's website.
Wow. So it's not just you're reading about it and they went to Australia and did a spec of
Right. No longer just articles about it. Now you can see what the trim lines are going to look like, what the engine configurations are going to look like, et cetera. So interestingly, right now there is but one engine configuration.
It's the 2.3
is an EcoBoost, I believe. I think you're right. I think it's probably the 2.3 liter EcoBoost and one transmission, which is their 10-speed automatic, which is apparently a nice transmission.
Yeah.
But that is it. I don't know what their plans are down the line, if they're going to release more engine configurations.
There's rumor that one will have a Raptor-esque version to it.
Yeah, that's what everyone's expecting, right? Because there's obviously the Raptor version of the F-150, so they're expecting a Raptor version of the Ranger.
And I think that would be a great addition for Ford. I mean, everybody's pumped that the Ranger's coming back, that the Bronco's coming back, but now the big thing is you have like the TRD Pro line. In Chevy, you have the ZR2, pickup. So people want these like out of the factory.
Yeah.
Modified. I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, you're going to buy
capable like Baja runners,
and there's a warranty.
There's a warranty, exactly.
Yeah,
it's not put together by Bubba with a bunch of parts that he found at the local Piggly Wiggly or whatever.
Exactly.
I don't know why you'd find auto parts at a Piggly Wiggly, but that's what came to mind.
So the Ranger, that's
my car of the week.
What's your spotted in the wild?
Okay, so my spotted in the wild this week is I was coming down Route 80 into Salt Lake. And it was a Mercedes E63 AMG wagon.
Yep.
And that was also, there was a version of that, speaking of, I spotted today on Bring a Trailer, and I got real excited until I realized it was $40,000, and that's more car than I can afford. But anyway, I got excited because it's just one of those cars that's it's kind of rare. You don't see a lot of them. And it's got 560 horsepower in a wagon, like a grocery getter looking kind of thing that just hauls the balls. So that's my spotted in the
That's
wild.
those are bargains too. Like I'm looking at one that sold in August of 2018 on Bring a Trailer for $45,000.
Yeah.
And you're talking about a car that has a 6.2 liter V8 in it.
Yeah.
Basically like a race car in the skin of a wagon.
Yeah, ridiculous car.
Yeah.
So do you have a spotted in the wild?
Spotted in the wild along the German lines. And it's not really one specific one. It's just this car in general. The Volkswagen Beetle is no longer.
What?
They're going to stop building it.
No.
Yes, Volkswagen is killing off the Beetle, squishing it, saying goodbye. I say good riddance.
Yeah, I was going to say I don't know if this is good news or it's bad news, or I don't know how I feel about that. You have strong feelings, clearly.
I do, because when they came out with the new one, so I believe I saw that they ended production for the United States in 1978, in large part because of emissions and things like that, right?
But they continued manufacturing the old body style.
They did, and you could have a Mexico. I remember I studied in Mexico in the mid 90s in college, and I remember my family had one, and I was like, "This is so cool," But they were terrible for the environment. They didn't have any of the emission stuff on them. So, but when they came out with a new one in the United States, and everyone was so excited about it, it fundamentally was not anywhere like the original, because the biggest thing was they put the engine in the front.
Yeah.
And it was a front-wheel drive car.
Yeah.
So it was not, they're like, oh yeah, this is the evolution. No, the evolution would be to keep the engine in the back,
And I mean, it was the whole. I think the idea of that bug was that it was real cheap too, right? It was a basic, bare bones kind of car, and then when they rebuilt those things, they made them. It wasn't any more or less affordable than. I don't know what you compare it to, but it became less affordable than like what it had been.
Right. The car was originally built. It was the people's car. It was built during Hitler's era, in Germany, and it just evolved into something that it wasn't. And it wasn't even a half-hearted attempt. I don't know. So my spotted in the week is the fact that those are just going bye-bye. And, hopefully they fall apart quickly and we don't see much of them anymore.
Volkswagens have that tendency.
Yes. Especially the more modern ones that are, So.
Goodbye, Beetle. Goodbye.
Zach, it's time for confession.
Sam, I've been having an impure car thought.
It's been 36 hours since you've been here to share your impure car thoughts.
It's been almost 40 years since my last confession, mainly because I didn't grow up Catholic and I've never been to confession. I don't know any of the rules, so I've never been. This is my first confession.
Okay.
So it's about cars.
So just lay it out there.
I have been thinking a lot about a Volkswagen Golf R, and I feel guilty about it, and I need to talk about it because I really want to buy one. It looks awesome, and I owned a Volkswagen in my life before. I had a 1997 Jetta, and it was frankly not that great of a car. It had a lot of problems, and Volkswagen, I swore off Volkswagen. When I sold that car, I was like, I don't think I could own another VW. And yet, they've reeled me back in with a car that is an all-wheel drive, manual transmission, 6-speed, 290 horsepower. Looks like, to me, okay, here's what it is. Here's the other attraction with me with this car. I used to own a WRX. And part of the reason I got rid of my WRX was because it did not seem like a car that an adult man should own. I'm just saying it attracted attention sometimes that I didn't want, but it was a gas to drive. It was fun. Now, I'm trying to, in my life, it's like, what if I could find something that was almost as much fun or just as much fun, but just looked like a car that a normal person would drive that didn't attract that. It's kind of a sleeper, I guess.
Yeah. Pedestrian, little, yeah.
So like that's maybe that means I'm boring. Maybe that means I have crossed some kind of bridge in my life. I don't know what it means, but I do know that the car looks amazing. I would like to drive one. I would love to borrow one for a week for free from a manufacturer and drive it around.
Because I've never insulted anything that Volkswagen has made in any of our podcasts. So
no, I just insulted the entire brand by saying I thought I'd never own one again.
Change their mind. I gotta say,
so they have a beefier warranty now. Sorry, but that's the other thing.
Yeah.
It's a 6 year. It's transferable to a second owner too if you decide to sell the car.
I gotta say, I was pretty nervous when you opened up this segment as to what you were going to share. I thought it was going to be another Nissan Juke thing.
The great Juke that's okay.
Yeah,
we'll come back.
We just got to get over that. But
it's a great car.
But the fact that you came up with a cool car that really only people in the car culture are going to know is cool. I mean, if you roll up to that, most
people think it's a Golf.
Yeah, they're like, oh, look, that's a practical, fuel efficient means of transportation. You're not going to get a lot of dialogue about that, except when someone's a car person, they're going to be like, whoa, that's a Type R, or a
I'd
Volkswagen
debadge it
R,
though. I would go one step further.
Oh, you'd even take that?
I would debadge
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I gotta say, I can go with you on that one, and I don't look down my nose for that particular one.
Am I forgiven for my sins?
You are forgiven.
Thank you.
Yeah. As you were talking and you actually mentioned a previous car you owned, I have a confession myself.
What is your confession, Sam?
I actually went and test drove a new WRX thinking maybe I'll sell my Porsche and get a WRX.
You test drove a WRX?
I test drove one, and
what were your thoughts? What were your feelings?
So, first off, the clutch is just way too light on those things. I don't know what it is. Are people who drive those, they have weak legs or something?
I think what you're coming from is exceptionally stiff, is what I think.
Maybe that's it, But so I think the salesman thought I hadn't driven a manual transmission in some time. I really liked it. I thought the previous ones that I've driven, the turbo lag was pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost gone, in these new ones. There's not the spool up that you feel. I mean, it's still, you can still tell that it's a forced induction engine, but it was funny. I test drove it, then I parked it, and I was talking to the salesman, and I was like, well, I'm thinking about this because this could be a car for everything. I could take it skiing, throw my bikes on it. Can't really do much off road, but gravel roads and stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's a rally car, that kind of thing. And the salesman, when I mentioned that I had a Porsche and that I was, thinking of selling that for this, the dude just kind of looked at me like, "Are you freaking kidding me? Really?"
It would be a step in a different direction.
I almost felt like this guy was going to be like, "You need to leave now."
Yeah, out of my office.
Yeah, because I can't sell you this. You're not selling that for this, And it was so that's my guilty pleasure of the week. The WRX, the STI, is going to be updated soon, and there's talk that the engine in that, which is different than the engine in the WRX, it's the 2.5 liter in that, but that's actually an older engine.
It is.
The 2 liter that's in the new WRX is newer in design and everything than the STI. So that I'm really excited to see what they come up with in the STI.
It's due for a refresh.
It's due for a refresh, but I and as much as I'd like to think oh, maybe that's the car, I'm like, stop. You're all these kids are going to want to race you all the time, and I'm over it.
You'd have to start vaping too.
And that was, and the thing that kind of drove home the point of the guilty pleasure of the WRX, I think it was shortly after I had test drove that one. I was, somewhere at a stoplight, and the dude pulls up next to me in a WRX with all those ridiculous turbo stickers and Hoonigan and all that stuff, and he's vaping out of the sunroof, and I thought, you're fulfilling the stereotype. I can't be that stereotype. I don't wear flat brimmed hats or put stickers on the bottom of my windshield. So, yeah, that's my confession for the week.
You are forgiven, Sam.
Thank you.
When I was a child,
Back in the day.
in the 1980s, I specifically remember being 7 years old and going with my father and my older brother to see a movie in the theater, and that movie was called Back to the Future.
God, what a fantastic film.
And what I remember the most about it was a car where the doors opened up instead of out. And my young little 7-year-old brain was like, holy shit, what's going on with this?
And the
That's
fact,
amazing.
yes.
Now, like, of course, it was also a time machine, which 7-year-old me also thought was super cool. Of course it was. But the whole thing about that was like the car made an impression on me as much as the rest of the movie did.
Exactly.
Now, I don't know. There aren't a lot of movies that are kind of centered around cars necessarily. Herbie
No.
was one, Herbie the Beetle,
Yep.
which I've actually never seen. And that's okay with me. I'm not going to.
Sadly, I've seen the Lindsay Lohan version,
Well,
but let's not go down that.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to leave that one alone. But that car, maybe brought DeLoreans in front of a crowd that never would have otherwise seen. I'm not even sure the DeLorean might have been lost to history without that movie.
Yeah, and I remember
in some ways
when they talked about that, and there's a great article in one of the major publications that I'm just drawing a blank on that talked about the company that like kind of tricked that one up and made it ready for the movies, and basically they said that like they wanted a car that was exotic that people didn't know, and the DeLorean was fairly new at the time, and I think closed fairly soon after that movie. The CEO went to prison for selling cocaine or something.
Whoops.
Yeah, something like that. But that movie put that car on the map. Like you said, it could have been lost to history. And for the listeners who are too young to know, aside from the gull-wing doors, the other unique feature was it was stainless steel.
Stainless steel, not painted.
Not painted, stainless steel.
Yeah,
which
like
was
your refrigerator.
Yes.
Just your damn car is just your refrigerator, and that's amazing to me. Although when you do see them painted, when you see versions painted now, they're awesome, I think.
Yeah.
Not the original intent, but I think they're super cool. Anyway,
No.
sorry to
No,
derail you there.
the DeLorean was definitely one that they put on the map. I mean, you have the original Italian Job, with the Mini, the new one, which when the Minis came, when BMW purchased Mini, and then they re-released the new versions in the early 2000s with the Italian Job. Definitely did a lot for that car because people saw it and thought, oh, look, I can drive my car down the subway steps and do all this crazy stuff.
There's the famous scene from The French Connection, the story of that one?
I do.
When
yeah,
they filmed that, I think, live on the streets and didn't get permission, and they were basically racing in an open street, and super dangerous, not advisable, but kind of awesome.
Yes.
Like car history and movie history colliding there, I think, in an interesting way.
And then let's go into a movie series little to nothing about, and that would be the Fast and Furious franchise.
I haven't seen any of them, yeah.
Which is really a shame, but that movie brought so many cars to the forefront as far as making them cool. I mean, I attribute a large part of the WRX, Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution, like that tuner scene to that movie. Yeah. I mean, this is sad to admit, but my wife will chuckle when Tokyo Drift came out. The car that he drifted in was an Evo. It was a Lancer Evolution version, the 9 or whatever they call it, anyway, second to the last one that they brought to the United States.
Right.
I was so enamored, thought that was so cool. I had a toddler at the time, and I was like, I am not giving up my cool card. So I literally bought one because of that movie.
How long did you own that car, Sam?
About 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a terrible, terrible car. I mean, it was a car that would have been amazing on the track, But when you're driving to work in the morning and the turbo spools up, you spill coffee on your crotch because
Did that happen to you? Is that a real?
that really happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't think that story was made up, coming out of nowhere.
No, that really happened. But so again, a movie franchise that really put certain cars in the spotlight, and Dominic Toretto, who is Vin Diesel's character. I know you don't know him, but he's the muscle car, the American muscle car guy.
Okay.
So I think he did a lot for Dodge, in the later movies because he would always be driving a souped up Dodge.
Okay.
And Paul Walker was known to be the Japanese tuner guy, so Skylines.
Okay.
Would the Skyline R32 and R34 be as popular in the United States and so sought after if it weren't for that movie?
Maybe. I don't know. It was also in, was it Gran Turismo, the video game, though, that had that, I think they had that car as well, didn't it?
I believe so.
I'm not a huge gaming person, so I don't really know, but I'm pretty sure that may have been some of its popularity as well.
Yeah.
It's hard to follow, like, where it's like a chicken and egg problem sometimes with these pop culture things. Like,
yeah,
those movie producers got these ideas from somewhere.
Yeah.
And then it probably popularized something that wasn't necessarily as popular before, which is cool.
Yeah.
Also, here's the one that blew me away. It's like fantasy world, but still like the entire movie revolves around fossil fuels and motors and cars. Was Mad Max Fury Road.
Still haven't seen it.
Oh,
I know.
God.
I know that I need to.
I have, if you have not seen Mad Max Fury Road, okay, we're gonna do a movie thing where you force me to watch a Fast and Furious movie, and then I force you to watch Mad Max Fury Road because that shit is insane. It is.
I can see that.
It's bonkers.
Okay. I'll go with it. So, what's another movie or TV show that had a car in it that really stood out to you?
The A-Team.
Okay, the van the van. The van was pretty sweet.
Miami Vice.
So the earlier versions of that, what was that? That was the Ferrari Daytona.
The Ferrari, yes.
And then the Testarossa.
Yes. So here's an interesting bit I learned on a YouTube channel. Shout out to Hoovie's Garage. The original Daytona that they were using on that show was a replica made by the producers, right? And who one of the designers there, whatever, he saw it, he got upset, and he gave them a Testarossa to use on the show, like just gave that to them to drive on the show because he didn't want the knockoff
on the show
replica being used. So that's why they wrote some ridiculous plot point, like he crashed it or something. They wrote some ridiculous plot line to get rid of the car, and then in the next episode he shows up driving
the Testarossa.
The Testarossa. Yeah.
Nice. Wow.
What's another one? What was the guy in Hawaii?
Magnum PI. I believe it was a Ferrari. I don't know if it was the 308 GTS or if it was the GTB. Anyway, it was a Ferrari.
Okay.
Beautiful car at the time. Similar, if not the same car as the Ferrari in the Vacation movie with Christy Brinkley.
Okay, haven't seen that one.
Yeah. You have not seen Vacation?
I've not seen. No.
Wow.
I've not seen that.
Okay, well,
You're older than I am, Sam.
Yeah.
Not by very much, but enough that I can make fun of
Wow.
you a little bit for it.
Another one for me, Knight Rider.
Knight Rider.
Big
yes.
fan.
How can we forget about that?
What a cool car. I mean, it talked to you, and it had all those automated features, which seemed...
What's going on there, Sam?
Cats climbing on me, which seemed at the time completely ridiculous, and yet we're probably not that far off from that becoming a reality. The stuff that Kit was able to do.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and there's actually a guy in Georgia, another great article that I need to reference. It's either, I believe it was in Car and Driver in the summer of 2018, but there's a guy, and that's all he does is he gets Trans Ams and he specs them exactly like
Kit.
Like Kit.
Does he put the light in the front?
Everything. It's got the light.
Does it talk? Does it say Michael?
Yes.
Does he use Hey Siri? You know what? Apple needs to release a Siri voice that's Kit. Why have they not done that? Get it together, Apple.
Come
if you're
on,
listening.
that would.
Tim Cook, if you're listening, I know you are. I know you're a fan of the show. He's not a
Yes.
fan of the show. But I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I need that in my life.
Yeah. Other movies, other TV shows. Spent the summer watching Chips. Lots of great cars on Chips. You know, old 70s, 80s stuff.
Yeah.
You know, what about what's another? Dukes of Hazzard.
Dukes of Hazzard, classic. I feel like was that time period kind of the heyday for cars on television? Are there in other words, I guess what I'm asking is I can't think of like current shows that necessarily have
the plot circles around or the
comes around the
focus
car.
is on the car.
Like the whole Dukes of Hazzard, like if you replace the Dukes of Hazzard and took out the car, there is no show.
Right. Like if they were driving around in a Pontiac Aztek or something, like you can't jump a Pontiac Aztek over a creek.
No. What do you guys have? We have a Hyundai Tucson with them Duke boys, and they're
like Duke boys in that Hyundai Tucson.
It's not going to work.
Yeah.
Also, maybe painting the Confederate flag on a car now is maybe a little on the nose. It probably was on the nose then.
Yeah.
I'll just say I'm not going to paint the Confederate flag on my car. Personally,
no, I think, but it would really confuse people if you had a Confederate flag on your Prius.
It would confuse people. It would confuse me most of all. I think.
I feel like someone would initially see it, like some hillbilly redneck would see it, and they would want to high five you, and then they would see that it was a Prius.
Yeah,
and
then they want to roll call on me.
So that might actually just cancel itself out.
Dude, they wouldn't know what to do.
It's like two negatives.
I think so.
Right? Like they would just be dumbfounded. Like America, it's a Prius. Like I don't know what to do with this.
They wouldn't know. And that's okay.
Yeah, that is okay. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Lug Nuts Podcast. We're super excited for the upcoming podcast that we have, as we've been working really hard on that one, and we hope to have you back with us. Have a good one.